Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today let us learn about visual field report. Glaucoma is the most common disease every one of us encounter, and visual field examination is the most common test performed in those patients. So let us learn how to demystify a visual field report. So without a delay, let's dive in. So in this we are going to learn about some basics of perimetry and how to perform a proper visual field test side by side, and also how to interpret a visual field report. As you all know, the visual pathway extends from the optic nerve to the primary visual cortex, passing through the lateral geniculate nucleus. The retinal photoreceptors carry the information to the bipolar cells and then to the ganglion cells. These ganglion cells are the ones which are primarily affected in glaucoma, and various type of ganglion cells are affected in the early stages, which is the basis for the formation of the other newer modalities of visual field testing. From there, the information is relayed onto the lateral geniculate body neurons and then to the occipital cortex. These are the testing prerequisites which are to be kept in mind. The test has to be done in a quiet room, dark room, and the technician who is performing the test has to explain in detail about the test and what is expected from the patient in prior, so that patient gives a good test. So this is the fixation light around which the patient is going to focus, and lights are beeped in here and there which the patient is going to see, and whenever he sees this light blink forming, and then he will press the click. This is how a typical visual field report looks like, and now let us learn how to decipher it. Whenever you come across anything which is very complex, the easiest way to handle it is to break it into small pieces and have a control over it. So we are now dividing the visual field charts into few zones so that we can understand what is there in each zone and how to interpret each zone separately. First, you have to check the name of the patient, the ID of the patient, and the date of birth. Date of birth is very important because uh, the whole thing is going to be compared to the age related normative database which is there in the machine. And the eye tested, you have to check. Suppose the printer is not good and your eye is not mentioned like this, still you can find out which eye it is by looking at the grayscale. Now if you see this grayscale report, this is the optic disc, and wherever which side the optic disc is, generally it is that side field. So this is a left eye field. Next you have to look at the test used, and in this it is the central 24-2 threshold test. Now there are various protocols which you can use, like the 30-2, 24-2 and the 10-2. So what is the importance of this? In 30-2, a 30 degrees temporal and nasal field is tested, and the total number of points which are tested in this is 76. And in 24-2, 24 degrees temporally and 30 degrees nasally is tested. In 10-2, this is usually done when the fixation is threatened in the preliminary test, and in this test 10 degrees temporal and 10 degrees nasal field is tested with the help of 68 points. So there are some screening methodologies also which are present in the screen in the for performing the visual field test, but it's ideal for you to perform these tests. Next, you have to look at the stimulus size, background, and strategy used. So stimulus size here is 3, and it's a white stimulus, and background illumination is 31.5 apostips, and the strategy used is CETA standard. Background is the illumination of the dome where the patient is performing the test, and it is usually kept at 31.5 apostips, and it is the illuminance at which rod photoreceptors are saturated and only cones are stimulated. Now there are various stimulus sizes ranging from stimulus size 1 to size 5, and these are the sizes. Like the size 1 stimulus is 0.25 millimeter square and size 5 stimulus is 64 millimeter square. Generally a stimulus size 3 is used, and size 5 stimulus is used whenever the patient has very low vision. Next comes to the test strategy. In test strategies, there might be supra threshold or threshold and SITA, that is Swedish Interactive Testing Algorithm. This is the most common algorithm which is used. Next, you have to look at the pupillary diameter and the visual acuity. It is not mentioned in this chart, but it is ideal to write the pupillary diameter because we compare the visual fields of similar pupillary diameter. And visual acuity, in order to know whether the patient's visual acuity is good or not and whether the treatment which is used is corroborating to whatever his visual acuity is or not, is there or not, that we have to know. Did you ever look at the lenses which are used for this visual field test? These are different type of lenses from the usual refraction ones which have no rims. And how do they calculate? Because most of them will be 40 and we are doing it at a near distance, and sometimes some people have a distance correction and they also have a near correction. So do you know how they are going to do it? Now let's learn how they do it. Now initially what is done is you enter the patient's refraction into the system, and then the system itself calculates the trial lens. After that, after calculating the trial lens, which is also done according to the age. Now you are also entering the date of birth of the patient. So according to the age, the near correction plus the distance correction, the system itself gives you a correction which you have to place, and you have to place this from the set of the trial box which is available along with the visual field machine that lenses are kept. Next, you are going to look at the fixation monitor. What is the fixation monitor? It is very important to know that the patient is fixing properly throughout the test in order to have a valid test given by the patient. So there are various ways where you can check the fixation. One is the manual fixation checking, where there is an image of the eye which is of the patient who is performing the test on the screen for the technician to see, and also at the bottom of your report there is one eye gaze tracker which is going to give you the amount of deviation of the eye gaze. And the other thing is blind spot, which is done in this test, where we are going to fire impulses at the blind spot. So ideally the patient should not see that, but if the patient is responding to that, then it is counted that the patient is not fixing properly. So the next one you're going to see is the fixation target. So here it is a central fixation target, which is usually the same thing in most of the visual field reports. Other options which are available in the machine are a diamond fixation target. This diamond fixation target is usually used when the patient has low visual acuity. So this is the central fixation target in the dome where the patient is supposed to focus, and this is the diamond fixation target. Next thing you're going to see in the visual field report is the fixation losses. Okay, fixation losses in this are 2 by 19, which is a good amount only, because if any fixation losses are more than 20%, then they are compromised, and that test you have to question the validity of the test. Anything which is having more fixation losses, then the report interprets it with a double cross. High fixation losses are usually seen when the blind spot is not properly recorded or in trigger happy patients. Next, you have to look at the false positive errors in which the patient is pressing the trigger even when he is not seeing the stimulus. This it is 4%, which is decent. Okay, whenever
false positive errors more than 15 to 20%, then it gives the visual field examination gives a double cross where which implies that the test is not reliable. Now if you see this visual field, there are false positive errors are 87% and it's crossed double cross, and this is a typical visual field of a trigger happy patient. That means who is going on pressing trigger in spite of not seeing the stimulus. And if you see the gray scale of such patient, this is called the typical white scotoma where everything looks white, and this is one thing which you have to see in order to know about the reliability.
So next you're going to see the false negative errors. So this is around 13%, that is still okay. And then this is an example of a chart where there are false negative errors are very high, around 63%, which is not acceptable. And if you see, this is the typical clover leaf pattern which is seen on the gray scale, which actually denotes that this patient has high false negative errors. Next comes the foveal threshold, which is, as you all know, the foveal threshold is best, and visual acuity is best at the fovea. And if the visual acuity is good but the foveal threshold is low, you have to suspect early damage to the fovea. And if the foveal threshold is good but visual acuity is low, then probably you'll have to go back and check your refraction. Now the next you are going to see is the grayscale. In this grayscale, this is generally for only patient education. You are not supposed to decipher anything out of this. And one more important thing which this one will tell is, this is the blind spot. So if it is present on the right side, it is a right sided field, and on the left side it is a left sided field. So this you can just use to explain to the patient that this amount black type of thing is the amount of field which is lost, and that's it. But as a doctor, we are not supposed to rely on this grayscale for complete interpretation of the visual field. Next, let us look at the numerical plot. In numerical plot, you will have various numbers. This is the fixation point, and whatever is the sensitivity which is tested at each point is represented here. Now, when the sensitivity is 1, that means that the sensitivity of this patient at this point is 1 decibel, and now it's sensitivity 25 here represents that it is 25 decibels here, and this 32 means that this sensitivity of that patient at this point is 32. Next comes the total deviation plot, and in total deviation plot you will have a numerical plot where they are represented in numbers. All this minus implies that this patient has so many decibels lesser than the normal threshold of that age related things. So if it is 32, that means this area is around 32 decibels below the what has to be normal for that age, and anything which is 0, that means that it is almost same of that for that age. Now next you have to look at this graphical data, which is given in every report. This signature is given where these four dots represent that it is less than 5%. That means less than 5% of the normal population can have such reduced sensitivities, and this dark black one implies less than 0.5%. So that means less than 0.5% of normal people only will have that. That means which is something which is going to be pathological. So there, if you can see this area, the reduced sensitivity is present. Total deviation generally tells you about a generalized deviation. It might be a deviation because of the generalized loss plus a loss due to glaucoma. It doesn't differentiate. So next comes the pattern deviation plot. In this pattern deviation plot, whatever is the loss because of the cataract or any generalized visual field loss is removed, and the remaining part of the field loss or threshold loss is depicted in this. The same number, same thing applies for the number as in the total deviation plot, and this pattern deviation is the one which is going to tell you how what sort of the loss is there, and then whatever is there in the pattern deviation is generally due to glaucoma. So if you can see, all the superior arcuate area, there is significant decrease in the sensitivity. So there is a scotoma in this area. Next, you're going to look at the glaucoma hemifield test. So glaucoma hemifield test, what is done? If this is the fixation point, 5 fields which are lying on either side of the horizontal raphe, that is in the superior and inferior fields, are compared. Identical fields are compared, and the thresholds in these 5 fields on both the sides are compared, and whatever the difference is there, that is mentioned in the glaucoma hemifield test. So it is written either as within normal limits, or generalized depression, or when the difference between the upper and the lower half is not totally significant, but it is on the borderline, that with a p-value of 0.03, then it's written as borderline, and when it's very significant, it is written as it is outside normal limits. Next comes the mean deviation. If you see the mean deviation, it is usually measured in negative terms, and it is the amount of deviation which is normally present in this patient away from the normative data. It is always given with the help with the adjunct of p-value. Whenever it's given with a p-value, it is supposed to be significant. Next comes the pattern standard deviation, which is derived from the pattern deviation plot, and it is usually a positive sign, and it is always mentioned with the help of a p-value when it is significant. This pattern standard deviation is disturbed in cases of localized defects like glaucoma. Visual field index is a percentage which is derived from pattern standard deviation and the mean deviation, and it ranges from 0 to 100%. And in this patient, the visual field index is 69%. Next, you have to look at the eye gaze tracker. In this, if you see that there is deflection upward, means that the patient is not fixing at the target. The magnitude of the deflection implies the amount of deviation from the fixation target. Now, if there is a large deviation in the downward direction, this implies that the patient was blinking. And if sometimes you will get this small deviations in the downward directions, this implies that the computer was not able to identify which direction the eye was moving. So any eye gaze tracker which is having like this city skyline like eye gaze tracking system is of dubious reliability, and you will have to repeat the test again. These are the typical glaucomatous field defects which are usually seen. So to summarize, we have to always look at the patient data first, test that eye which is tested and the test which is used, look at the reliability criteria, have a gross look at the grayscale, total deviation plot, pattern deviation plot, global indices, glaucoma hemifield test, and eye tracker if it is available in the printout, and most importantly, always correlate clinically. So grab the next visual field test report which you come across in your clinic or in your hospital, and then try to decipher it using this terminologies and using this method which we have shown in this video. Happy reporting. Thank you for your patient listening. If you like our videos, please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you once again.